The introduction is here for some information regarding risk assessments. So prior to undertaking any work with ionising radiation, the employer is required to undertake a risk assessment. Now this is the employer's risk assessment, but we've tried to make it as simple for you to meet the current guidance in terms of the ACOP Section 8, which is the approved code of practice to the ionising radiations regulations. This includes not only your X-ray work, but also exposure to radon-222 gas, which I shall come back to shortly. On the left-hand side, we have a number of tabs again, and the first one is our fixed X-ray set. So this is a risk assessment, an overarching risk assessment for the use of ionising radiation, or X-rays in our case. And the fixed section means that any X-ray set attached to a wall or the floor or a mobile set on wheels that can be plugged into the main supply. As we go through this section, we'll see that it's split up into various different subsections. A, the nature of the radiation source itself, and asks you various questions as you move through the risk assessment. So the first one is the estimated radiation rates that a person can be exposed to. And on here we can see that we have various different options. So if you have panoramic only equipment, you can just choose the intraoral equipment, you can just choose the intraoral equipment tab. Or if you have all sorts of X-ray equipment at the practice, you can choose all the options, or anything in between. Again, as we move down the page through the risk assessment, which I would encourage you to read through to make sure that you're familiar with it, we have other questions. So if you've previously undertaken personal monitoring of staff within your practice, there is a section under D which gives you space to enter what the personal monitoring results were. So for example, if you've never done it, then you can put no results available. If the doses were very, very low, you can put less than 0.1 millisievert in a year. And again, there are various other options to choose from. Or if you want to enter an exact value, you can enter it in the box provided. The next question within the risk assessment asks you whether you have an operator manual, and you can simply click yes, I have an operator manual for the equipment. It will change the wording below. If you don't have an operator manual, then as it suggests, you should obtain one from the manufacturer of the installer of the equipment, or you can contact us and we may be able to provide you with said user manual. Move down the page, various other supply, and then we come to personal protective equipment. So personal protective equipment is obviously for members of staff, or whether you actually have them within the practice. So we ask you whether patients are ever assisted during radiographic exposures. If the answer is no, then you can just click no. If the answer is yes, you can click yes. Then asks you whether there's a lead apron available, and again, no or yes. If there is a lead apron available, it should be stored appropriately and make sure that it's under constant supervision to make sure that cracks do not appear in the lead shielding. For most practices, this is likely to be a no answer. We also ask, do carers and comforters ever assist the patient? Carers and comforters now sits under IRMA, but as part of a risk assessment, it should be considered. And we can enter yes or no here. It refers to the IRMA procedure in section 5 of the file, which we'll come to shortly. Again, lots of this have been filled out for you in terms of radiation exposure in a dental practice. Finally, we get to the end where we ask if you've been issued with personal dose meters or not. And the answer can be yes or no. And if it's yes, then you should give the reason for that from the list above, A, B, C, and also the supplier and the personal dose meter wear period. Most of them will be 3 months or 13 weeks. So this is the overarching risk assessment for the use of ionizing radiation, and it covers all the things that should be considered within the risk assessment as risks and what the outcome of those risks and what management procedures are being put in place to mitigate those.